Hey, LGBT Outdoors family. We hope everyone is doing great tonight. We want to start off by just welcoming you and checking in. We hope that everybody is doing great. Whatever it is. Also, be sure to give us shout outs. I have you guys right here in front of me, so we want you to say hi. Let us know where you're watching from tonight and ask questions along the way. If you have questions for me, if you have questions for our guest, whatever the case may be, we will try to get to as many of those as we can towards the end of this. So, how is everybody doing with this whole coronavirus stuff? I know it's crazy right now. We have been in quarantine for a while. Let me rephrase that. We are in lockdown, don't have any threats or anything among us, but we are locking ourselves in just to be safe. Great thing about the outdoors is that we kind of already social distance a lot of times. So feel free to get outdoors and get fresh air during this. Like that's going to be really healthy and keep us from going crazy. But obviously, listen to your state representatives wherever you're listening from in the world and follow those directions. Okay. A couple other things we want to keep this family growing and we want to keep educating and letting people know how to get involved with the outdoors and different activities. So if you think that you have a real passion for a certain activity that's outdoors and you could let other people know how to get involved in that activity, be sure to email us. Our email is info@lgbtoutdoors.com. And we want to hear from you, whether you want to be a guest blogger or maybe do a live video with us as well, like this. We would love to use you and help educate our community on things to do. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook and Instagram. Both Instagram is LGBT Outdoors, and we would love to be able to connect with you there. If you are stuck inside, take the opportunity to plan what you're going to do when you get outdoors finally. So on our website, we have a bunch of past blogs. Feel free to go through those, check those out. Our website is lgbtoutdoors.com. Read those blogs, learn about some of the cool things that you can be doing outdoors. We also have a growing directory on our website of LGBTQ plus friendly vendors and experts in the outdoors so that you can connect if you're wanting to find different outfitters for hiking or backpacking or fly fishing or whatever it might be. So be sure to check that out too. And if you want to be a part of that directory, you can contact us as well. So with that said, we want to jump in with our guest tonight, who is Seb, and his Instagram is going to pop up here on the screen so that you can follow him as well if you would like. But Seb is a outdoor enthusiast. He is joining us now. Say hi to Seb. Glad you're here. Go ahead and
Thank you.
start.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you would just go ahead and start with us a little bit and tell us about your background, who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about you so we can get to know you.
For sure. So I'm currently in McKinney, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I grew up here in North Texas, here in Denton County, and yeah, I've been traveling throughout the West for most of my adulthood after graduating from Arizona State. Go Devils! And I'm born in Chile to Latino parents, and been living in the West ever since college, and I just love the outdoors. That is pretty much all you need to know about me to know what I'm excited about and what I want to talk about at any given moment. Hopefully, also to get us from talking about this virus for 30 minutes would be great.
Right. Let's touch on that just for a second, and then we can move past
Sure.
that. So with Us being outdoor enthusiasts and liking to be outdoors so much, what are you doing right now during this time to like pass the time?
Yeah, I'm lucky that spring is in full swing here in North Texas, and it's just been really beautiful out. So, been trying to go on long walks, bike rides, just kind of spending time outside, and also playing music. My parents have a lot of instruments here in the house, so always just trying to keep my fingers busy and my ears busy. So, yeah, and trying not to consume too much news or social media, 'cause not to not to keep people away from the channel, but yeah, it's overwhelming the amount of information that's out there right now.
Yeah, not only that, it's always changing every 2 minutes too. So
Absolutely.
totally understand that. So let's move on past that then and get our minds off of the coronavirus for a little bit.
Sounds
Tell us
good.
about your experience with backpacking. How'd you get into it, backpacking and hiking? How'd you get into it? What made you fall in love with it? And give us a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have to credit my parents and my family in general for taking me outside from the second I was born, pretty much. Lucky enough to have been born in Patagonia, Chile. So we were going to national parks as a child, as children, and like if you look at my Instagram, there's pictures of me in my mom's arms in front of Torres del Paine, which is this amazing national park down there. So literally from infancy, I was outdoors with my family hiking, car camping, and road tripping across mostly the United States as a kid. Um, and from there, just started like playing outside in the creek in front of our house, and it was like a concrete drainage channel essentially that had some crawfish living in it. And I was like, oh, I like digging in the dirt, and I like walking around out in nature. And um, so yeah, going into high school, I started hiking with friends and going out into the woods alone eventually, and then also backpacking. Once I got to Arizona State, just the amount of public lands out there is just wild. And yeah, so I immediately started backpacking solo and with friends, and the West opened up just a world of opportunity for me for exploring the outdoors. And now I've been lucky enough for the last 10 years, pretty much, to be in the outdoor industry as a profession. So I've been able to marry my passion for being outdoors and the environment with making a decent living. So I feel very very privileged that that's been my trajectory and journey.
That's awesome. Tell us a
A
little
little bit,
bit.
and
We were
we were
talking
talking
about
about this.
this earlier, the difference really between hiking and backpacking. And to many people, that might be common sense. To others that are wanting to learn, those could be totally different things that they have no idea what the difference is. So, can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, hiking in general is just the act of walking out your door into nature and enjoying natural spaces. And the way I differentiate is hiking is just the activity, and then backpacking is more um, when you're out for multiple days. You're moving camps, you're carrying everything on your back, and you're pretty much self-sufficient. Multiple days, multiple nights, or just even an overnight. And so, yeah, hiking, day hiking is probably what most people are familiar with and have a majority of people have experienced, even just in their local parks and things like that. You're hiking even if you're just walking a nature trail, and a lot of people think you have to summit a mountain to be a hiker, and it's not true.
Right. Even here in Dallas, I talk to a lot of friends who say, like there's no good hiking trails around here, and that's kind of true, but at the same time, if you really look, you can find some. Like right here in
Yeah,
Dallas at White Rock Lake, there's actually woods behind the dam at the lake that you can hike in that has paths. Over in Fort Worth, there's a couple different nature preserves. So that's around, you just got to find it. And it might not be like hiking in Utah or Colorado, but there are great areas that can be explored around Dallas and any suburb really. So just got to get out there and
absolutely.
find it. What are some of the challenges that you've faced with getting into the hiking and backpacking?
Yeah, I think something we talked about earlier was just finances. I think a lot of people think you have to have a lot of money to get outdoors, and sometimes that can be true, especially if you're in the city and getting transportation. So, like being a poor college student, being a poor adult, sometimes just like not being able to get on the trail if those for those far-flung locations and stuff can be kind of a challenge. And then um, definitely, I mean, as a queer person, I think we kind of always have to be on our toes a little bit when we go into any space, and especially a space that can be dominated by um, like cis heteronormativity and things like that, and also white supremacy. Like a lot of, and I know that's a can be a touchy word for a lot of people, but the outdoor industry has been pretty inaccessible for a long time. So I'm very passionate about breaking down barriers and making sure that all of our outdoor spaces, especially on public lands, they truly belong to us, and making sure that everybody has that accessibility. And I think the biggest challenge, honestly, has been my own personal fear. Like sometimes you don't know how you're going to present that day, and you don't know how curious somebody might be about your life and what you have to choose to divulge. And it's like we've always said in our community is like you kind of have to come out a million times a day sometimes, and that can be a lot of emotional labor. So I think that kind of comes from within. Um, Having that balance of like how much do you share with yourself on the trail and things like that. And I think a lot of people have that feeling and feel those barriers in a lot of areas of their life, and I've definitely felt that in the outdoor industry. And luckily, I've been able to surround myself with a lot of queer outdoors people, whether it's in person or online, and that community is just so beautifully vibrant, as hopefully this is evidence of.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to find this community within a community which is already sometimes felt to be outside of the norm, the outdoor community. Now it's much more mainstream, but yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the reason what we're doing, you know? Like it's hard for people to get connected to other people that are like them. And when we
absolutely.
first started, it was just this Instagram account, less than a year ago, and we're getting up to like 35, getting close, I think 4,000 followers. And it's really cool to see the messages that we receive almost on a daily basis from people that are connecting even on there. We had a fly fisherman from New York connect with a fly fisherman from California and was like, I didn't know there was any other gay fly fishermen. So totally understand that. And we're trying to really connect people and let people know that there are a lot of LGBTQ plus people in the outdoors. So, yeah, that's awesome. Tell us about some of your, maybe one or two of your favorite hiking experiences. You've got to have a ton, I'm sure.
Totally. It's so hard to narrow it down, but I think the two that stick in my head, in 2016, I did the big Sequoia Kings Canyon loop, which is a 150-mile loop through the high Sierras. And I did it by myself. And that was my first foray into like longer distance, like through hiking. And that was truly life changing. And just being by myself in pretty remote alpine environment for 15 days was pretty gnarly, and it pushed me to my limits. And it was nice because I had a resupply halfway through, and I got my Diet Coke and a Snickers bar and a beer, and then I was able to keep going. So that was pretty fantastic adventure. Um,
Wow.
and then yeah, recently I was just last month actually before all of the closures began on public lands. Was in the Grand Gulch, which is part of the Bears Ears National Monument. And for those who aren't familiar with Bears Ears, it's a just beautiful area of canyon country on the Cedar Mesa of south central Utah, and it's sacred lands for the Nuche, the Dene people, the Pueblo people, and it's just one of the most spectacular geological and geographical areas, but the cultural resources that are being protected there and that are just so important, not only to indigenous. That place is just really, really fantastic, and just like being able to walk up respectfully to these spaces, hold them as sacred for the cultures that do hold them that in that regard, and just being able to see like pottery sherds on the ground, and as you're showing here, just these insanely beautiful and simple structures that have withstood hundreds of years of time and just in elements, and just shows us the ingenuity and the resilience of humans. And like I think even if you aren't from these cultures, like we can take so many lessons about how to survive and how to thrive and just how to be respectful of the earth. And I just hope that that's what I took away from that. The experience was just reinforcing how we have to steward the planet and take care of each other. Like, and whenever you can go into an outdoor space and have an experience like that's why I go outside. Like, it's nice to see pretty rocks and trees and stuff and birds and all that. But like when you can come away with lessons that fill you up and change your perspective of the planet and of people, like that
Yeah.
is priceless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Um,
Um,
most of the
most of the
hikes
hikes
that you
that you
do, are
do, are
you
you
doing
doing
them
them
alone or
alone,
do
or do
you
you
do
do
with
with
other
other
people,
people,
or
or
half and
half and
half,
half,
or
or
what
what
is
is
that
that
like?
like?
Yeah, I would say probably like 60 to 70% of the backpacking I do is solo. Um, mostly just for logistical reasons. Like I love to bring people along, but if I can't get a posse, I'm gonna hit it anyway. Um, and then yeah, the other part, like I love taking people out. So and being a part of a trail group is just really fun. So yeah, I think it's a good balance, like a 70-30 for me.
Awesome.
Awesome.
What
What
would you
would you
say to
say to
people
people
that
that
are
are
like,
like,
you
you
know,
know,
we were
we were
talking
talking
about
about
how
how
people
people
feel
feel
like
like
they
they
don't
don't
have
have
others
others
that
that
want to
want to
do
do
this,
this,
and I
and I
run
run
into
into
people
people
that
that
say
say
I
I
like to
like
go
to go
hiking,
hiking,
but
but
I
I
don't
don't
have
have
anybody to
anybody to
go
go
hiking
hiking
with.
with.
You
You
obviously
obviously
do
do
it
it
a
a
lot.
lot.
What would
What
you
would you
say to
say to
those
those
to
to
encourage
encourage
people
people
to
to
go
go
ahead
ahead
and
and
do
do
it
it
on
on
your
your
own?
own?
Building that confidence, starting simple. If you're of the kind of I guess ilk that you want to go out and be by yourself in nature, that can be a really frightening and intimidating thing. So yeah, great question. I think starting small, starting local, putting in safeguards for yourself, like overly conservative things, like telling your family where you're going, leaving a map of where you're going, what time you want to get back, things like that, and so that you know that you have a safety net, and also just being conservative with your decision making. That's risk management, even from a simple day hike to a huge expedition, is extremely important. And I just think, yeah, telling friends and just doing as much research as you can. Um, and then just like start simple. Like you don't have to do anything crazy, and you can do a lot of things with just what you have in your closet. I think that just all those little details can be really intimidating to people. And if you want to start going out by yourself, like start with a group, find your local hiking group, create a local hiking group, and also like if you're excited about it, people are going to get stoked, and then that can help them melt that fear away, because that's
Yeah.
people think about going into the woods. The woods can hold a lot of fear for people for cultural reasons, for just inexperience. Um, so yeah, just like feeding yourself information and then putting it out there as well for others to be able to latch on, and like that's how you build that community around yourself. I feel like is just sharing information and sharing love and excitement for these things that we do.
Yeah, that's a lot of good tips in there. Um,
Um,
you mentioned getting together, like maybe even starting a group of hiking or a club for hiking
Mhm.
in your area. Are there any groups that you're a part of for hiking and backpacking? And are they LGBT friendly? What's the dynamics there like?
Yeah, I'm not currently part of any hiking groups. I've been pretty transient the last couple year or so, so I'm not really part of a group. But I did actually created like an LGBTQ meetup group at my previous employer, and that was actually really a great way um, to create a network of people to be able to do that. And some of the groups also, like if you start with larger national groups like the Venture Out Project, um, or out there adventures. Um, those are really great groups that can help you start big and kind of get smaller to your local area.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take this now that we've kind of talked a little bit about hiking, some of your experiences and stuff. Say we have somebody that's watching right now, which by the way, anybody that's watching right now, if you have any questions for me or Seb, feel free to shoot those in. We're going to try to get to those at the end of this. And we'd like to try to answer as many questions as we can. But say we have somebody that's watching, hiking has piqued their interest. They've never done it before. We know that you could just like throw on some shoes and go outside and just start walking. But what's some good tips that you can give for people that want to take it maybe a little bit further and actually go like on a day hiking trip?
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the things like I was talking about earlier about safety in terms of telling a friend where you're going, um, starting local, looking at your local public lands, whether it's your city parks, your state parks, and then your national public lands, things like that. There's so many resources online on backpackers.com, which is a website that I actually write for, backpacker.com, ultralight hiking. There's just so many different resources online. Um, I think Another thing that has helped me engage with my public lands is like finding something that you're excited about. And for me, I was going to share this later, but finding a great naturalist guide for the area that you're in. This is for
Hmm.
the Four Corners area, so Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. And so being able to connect with the land, the geology, the plants, the animals, and the history and the human history of a place is like a way that I really find like I guess, restoration in a place because I can feel more connected to it. It's also, I'm a huge science nerd, so I just love to be able to have actual data about a place that I am and whip that stuff out at cocktail parties and be like, do you know what plant species that is? Because I do.
That's awesome. So,
um,
so if
So
they
if they
do
do
this,
this, then
then like,
like
what are some? I know that you're kind of a gear snob a little bit, but what is some key pieces of equipment that you feel like people really need? Is there anything that they need to get started? And what could they, if not, what could be their next steps to building equipment and to making their hiking and backpacking trips more successful and enjoyable, really?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us already have a great deal of equipment in our closets that is totally appropriate for at the least day hiking. So I think a lot of people hear, "Oh, I want to get into hiking, I want to get into camping, backpacking," and they want to immediately go to REI or they want to go to backcountry.com and just start putting everything in their basket. And I think the first basket you should look in is the one you already have at home. And so your day pack, your JanSport from high school, go hiking with it. It's totally fine. If you have a water bottle, even if it's a empty 1 liter soda bottle, just take that with you. Like that's going to last you. And all the ultralight hikers out there, you're already using your gas station smart water bottle, so it's you're going to fit right in if you start small with stuff like that. The couple things that I felt like are super essential and that have really helped me enjoy myself is okay, sports sandals. Some people think they're god awful, ugly. I love them so much. I've been wearing Chacos for almost 10 years now. This is my like fourth pair because I'm a style junkie too. So even though they last forever, I have to have multiple pairs. Not sustainable. So don't be like me. Um, I think so. Yeah, they're great for all year if you're, especially if you're in the South. So they're great for creek walking. They're great for just going to the beach or going to the store, and also all of your adventures. Um, I think another thing, especially I'm on social media all the time. I know I shouldn't be, whatever. I like having a mini tripod with me all the time, just because it's a really great way to set your phone up, get that super chill shot, and just get all the likes and all the comments. You got to do it for the gram, so that's why we're all doing it, right? Um,
Got to get
um,
those
oh,
followers, right?
got to get them followers. Fanny pack. You got to have a fanny pack. Again, the fanny pack combined with the dad sandals is like that's who needs Tinder? Who needs Tinder when you got looks, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
But the fanny pack is crucial. You got to have a fanny pack.
What's some of the
And a
key
lot of
things you
people already
carry
have.
in the fanny pack?
Yeah, hand sanitizer, which is very applicable to today. Um, let's see. I always have a pen and some Advil because joints be hurting. I'm not 20 anymore. Let's see, sunscreen, a notebook. This is actually my fanny pack that I use for work when I'm in wilderness therapy in Utah. So it's got all the things that help keep me on track. My watch, extra batteries, all kinds of things like that, and then a snack like a cheese stick or a granola bar is always going to be in my fanny pack. So yeah, that's a must. And then yeah, I think those were like the biggest things that I found just like within arm's reach of myself before the call. And I was like, yeah, these are the things that I could not leave home without.
Good, that's good tips. So when this is all over and we're free to get back out there, what's your first big adventure going to be?
God, I just want to get back to like my normal haunts. Like there's out where I live in Utah, there's just open canyon country everywhere, and I just love being able to park my van at a trailhead and just walk out and not really have a plan. Like that's the best part about living in the Intermountain West is you can just kind of show up and go with as long as you have a map and some your 10 essentials. Yeah, I'm just excited to get back to canyon country for sure.
That's awesome. How far away, when you're in Utah, how close are you to the mountains and trails that you can hit?
I'm right in the middle of it. So I'm really lucky that our field program works in the San Rafael Swell, and where I typically park my van, I live in my van is on public land, so I'm usually able to just hop out of my driver's seat and go for a trail run or go for a bike ride, and I feel very fortunate for that.
That's very cool. I see a couple
Yeah,
of viewers that are watching right now. That's cool. I see Kyle and a couple others. So just a reminder, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to ask. We are going to try to hit some of those at the end. Kind of wrapping up with you, go ahead and just share with us anything else that you would like. Again, a lot of people that might be watching might have hiking experience. Some may not have at all. Any words of advice, encouragement, anything that you would like to share with them before we wrap up?
absolutely. I think just informing yourself about public lands issues, environmental issues, um, just checking out the website of wherever the parks that you want to visit is really good for you to learn about closures, especially right now where social distancing is so important. Travel advisories, things like that. You can learn a whole lot by just visiting, the National Park Service website. So the more information you have before you get to a trailhead is always going to be best. Plan ahead and prepare, just like our leave no trace #1 rule is always going to take you really far. And then always have a backup plan. I think we think that everything's going to go well the first time, and it only rarely does. So just being flexible and able to adapt is really important. And then I think building that community around you is really important to getting excited, to being successful and reaching out. I think a lot of people go out and fail maybe on their first hike or their first overnight trip and they get discouraged. And I think creating this kind of community like you are with LGBT Outdoors is so important to getting more people in our community out there and being successful, and then also just sharing the mental health, the physical health, and just the general fun that you can have in the outdoors and just all the benefits that it offers. I think the more people that steward and enjoy the earth, the better off we're going to be as humanity.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Seb,
So,
thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time and chatting with us. Apparently, we have answered people's questions really well because we don't have any right now. But I think your information that you've given was excellent, and so we just want to keep encouraging people to get outdoors and give hiking and backpacking a shot. Um, we're going to throw your Instagram back up here on the screen as well. So if people want to hit you up with any questions later, they can and follow you on your journeys. Thanks again. We hope that you have a great evening, and we're going to say goodbye for now.
Awesome. Thank you. Everyone stay safe out there.
All
all
right,
right,
guys.
guys.
So we
So we
want to
want to.
thank you for tuning in tonight. We also want to encourage you if you would like to be a guest blogger or come on and share live with our LGBT Outdoors family, something that you love doing and encouraging them to get in the outdoors, that would be great. Don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel right down below. We would love to be able to keep you updated with any videos that we're sharing and posting, as well as on our Instagram and our Facebook. Be sure to go to lgbtoutdoors.com to be able to find our blogs, our social media links, any information, our directory of LGBT outdoor resources. So we hope that you are all staying safe. And until next time, have a great night.